Hello, good morning from ACDHH, the Arizona Commission for the Deaf and the Hard of Hearing. Today is the first day of Deaf Awareness Week. We're excited to be hosting this event. The theme for this year's Deaf Awareness Week is Building Inclusive Communities for All. I'm sure you've seen different information posted about Deaf Awareness Week events, and we look forward to seeing what your organizations are putting on for this year's Deaf Awareness Week. I would like first to introduce you to ACDHH staff, and we're going to start with Becca. Hi there, I'm Becca Bailey. I'm the Community Engagement Liaison for the Arizona Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. I was the deaf specialist for 14 years before I was promoted to this new position. Kim now is in my old position. I've been at the agency for 18 years. I'm so excited to be here to share more information about our agency so you can learn more about us and our deaf journeys. Thank you, Becca. And that made me realize that I forgot to introduce myself. I am Kim Menard. I am the deaf specialist here at ACDHH. Now, Nikki.
Yes, hello. I am Nikki Sukup. I am in charge of public policy and community relations. I'm pretty new with the agency. I just started in February, and I'm very excited to chat with you guys today.
Thank you, Nikki. We're so excited to have you at the agency. And Sherry Collins.
Yes, hello, everyone. My name is Sherry Collins. I am the executive director here at the Arizona Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. I am coming up on my 25th anniversary as director of the agency. So happy to be here with all of you.
Thank you so much. And please feel free, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, to comment, and Becca will be able to read those questions to us, and we will answer any questions that you may have. This Deaf Awareness Week event is an annual event that really showcases the talent of the deaf community to show that as deaf people, we can do anything. And I'm going to ask each of you, what does Deaf Awareness Week mean to you? And we'll start with you, Becca. To be honest, we are deaf every day, more than just 1 week a year. This is a time to bring awareness and to celebrate our community's contributions and our journeys, our adversity that we've experienced as deaf people or people with different hearing levels. It's a time of celebration. We're celebrating being deaf. We're thinking about all of the wonderful things that come along with being deaf, the deaf gain. We celebrate that, those things that we face every day. It's wonderful to be a deaf person, and that's how I look at it. That's how I celebrate this week. Thank you. And Sherry?
Yes, thanks. At the beginning of Becca's comment, I think was spot on. Really, Deaf Awareness Week isn't about just 1 week to be aware of deaf issues and deaf rights, but this is something that we experience every day, all of our lives on this journey of being a deaf person. Really, the conflicts that we face are really opportunities to share our stories and share the pride that we have of being deaf. I'm incredibly proud of being deaf. And I know that the society and the outside world has a different view. You know, oftentimes people ask if I ever wish that I was hearing or wish that I was different. But of course, no, I love being a deaf person. I love who I am.
Thank you, Sherry. And Nikki?
Yes, absolutely. I second both of those comments. This really is a celebration of our culture, our community, and all of the different diversity that is involved in that. I know that there's going to be lots of events, lots of, several different theatrical productions and things like that, that we are all going to get together and share. This really is a wonderful way to not only share our daily lives, but share our culture with the world. And just like everybody else said, it's not just 1 week, it's a year-round, everyday thing. I think that it's important to get this kind of exposure with the media. And I'm so thrilled to be celebrating this with you guys.
Thank you so much for your comments. And, we're thinking about deaf inventors. We're thinking about deaf influencers, deaf engineers. There's deaf people in every space. Support them, learn from them. You'll be amazed what you find. Yeah, Nikki?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind me adding to that, the earrings that I'm wearing today are made by a deaf artist. I bought these earrings directly from them. So another way. And this is Sherry. Yes, I have my I love you charm on my necklace today. So.
And this is Becca. These are made by a deaf friend's sister. So she's related to a deaf person, right? She's in our core deaf circle. This is Kim. I actually have some art done by deaf artists here in my office. I love to buy art from deaf artists to support them. I actually have some stickers right here on my water bottle. This is Becca. So do I. This is Tucson Vintage Company. It's based in Tucson and it's owned by a deaf person. There's an event that's happening this Friday and I suggest you all go. We are seeing more and more deaf representation in movies, on TV, and just about anywhere else you look. The movie Coda came out, Dancing with the Stars. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. The Eternals, you name it. It's not just one deaf actor, it's many deaf actors in every space. We have Dancing with the Stars coming up with Daniel Durant from the movie Coda. Be sure to check that out and vote for him and support him. Do you have any other names on your radar that you've seen in deaf spaces? Becca? I can say that representation of deaf people is so important. Growing up as a little deaf girl, my mom found out that Peter Pan was being put on by a fully deaf cast. And I didn't really understand what that meant until I was there in person, seeing a full deaf cast, seeing the language happen on the stage. They actually invited us to their after party, and I felt so special. I felt like the princess of the night. And I was getting the attention from all of those deaf adults, even though I come from a hearing family where I didn't learn American Sign Language, I learned Sign Exact English. I come from a well-educated family. Even though having that deaf representation, I think I may have been 10, but thinking back, I was probably younger. I was probably about 8. That was one of the most impactful moments in my life. After seeing deaf representation, I just wanted to see more. And then when I had a deaf son, I wanted him to be exposed to so much more deaf representation, to have him go to college, to have him graduate with a degree. That's a whole other story, but deaf representation is so important. The impact that representation can have on an individual is incredible. So the movie Coda has been out for some time, and my friend and I were out for a walk in Prescott at a small park, and several people came up to us because they saw us signing and mentioned that they saw the movie Coda and they really liked it, and it's encouraged them and inspired them to learn some sign language. It's not just that movie Coda, but all of these different modes of deaf representation show that deaf people can thrive and be successful without using lip reading, without the use of speech, and only communicating through sign language. Do you feel that the hearing world now has a different perception of the deaf world now that we have so much representation? Sherry?
Yes, well, you know, honestly, what I've noticed is that when I'm signing, like let's say I'm at a doctor's appointment or something, and I'm signing, maybe if somebody else who is deaf, or a family member of a deaf person, somebody who has some kind of connection to sign language, that typically is not a common occurrence. Most of the people who we see out in the world don't have any kind of connection to the deaf community or sign language, and we would get those stares, right? It would be something novel and unique. But I'm seeing this shift. I'm seeing a change, that our community has not had this kind of attention, and for such a long time. And so it does seem like perceptions are shifting. I think that for a long time, the deaf community has been misunderstood because of the medical perspective of deafness. Obviously, when most hearing people are encountered with that, they're trying to fix the deafness or remove the deafness, right? I think that it's important that we are viewed as holistic and human, that there is some credence given to our culture. And I think that all of these things that are happening are really allowing people to see into that. Obviously we've been around for a long time, and people are just now starting to notice our community. So, I think that sometimes it just takes a moment. It just takes a moment, and we are going to see this snowball, which of course is something I'm so grateful for. I wish, of course, that we had this kind of recognition a long time ago. But it's all moving in the right direction. It's all positive.
And Nikki?
Yes. To piggyback off of that thought, obviously we have a rich history and a rich culture that we celebrate within our community. Whether it's Deaf Way or Deaf Power, the international organizations, there's so much richness to celebrate within this culture, including our amazing, beautiful language. There's deaf businesses and artists, like we said. We've struggled to have that be recognized in the mainstream up until this point. And so I'm hoping that with time, with more of this exposure, with more of this media attention, there are more authors that are taking note of the deaf community, and of course in film and TV. Maybe you guys have heard about that book True Biz that was written by a deaf author. I mean, all of these things are just bringing more and more exposure to the deaf community. And so it's possible that, if there's a person who doesn't know about deaf culture, or, a family member of a deaf person, maybe it could convince people or entice people to learn more about the culture and more about the language. I mean, who knows? But I think that, just like Becca said, representation is of vital importance. And now that this is getting the exposure that it's getting, and we have things like technology and the internet to connect us even more, we have the opportunity for even more access. I'm hoping that this is all leading up to getting the mainstream world to recognize what we've known for a long time. So I agree with Sherry that there is a shift, and I hope we keep this momentum going.
This is Becca. As you were talking, Sherry and Nikki, I agree. I choose not to have a pessimistic view. I choose not to ask why this didn't happen a long time ago. There's been this slow change that started with Phyllis Freelish, the actress, Then Linda Bove came on the scene. Eventually Marlee Matlin did. And Shoshana Stern. It's just a ripple effect of all of this groundwork that's already been laid. Then with Troy Kotzer in Coda, and really Niall DeMarco, his influence as well. Coda was really the climax and just broke that glass ceiling and paved the way for our community. We have to thank those trailblazers who paved the way for Coda to be the success it was today. Mrs. Kim. Sherry, did you want to add something?
Yes, I would like to make a comment here. Of course, I agree with all of these comments. I think that it's important to recognize that COVID had an influence in this as well. Nikki had mentioned the increase in access, like to things like White House press conferences. Now you can see a CDI interpreting at those press conferences. During COVID, we had governors' briefings and other kinds of media events. Not all of them were accessible, but the ones that were mean that more and more people see how important access really is, and especially the use of CDIs in those settings. So I think that getting deaf people, especially deaf interpreters, front and center, that is helping the world recognize that when we do make that request for access, or we make that request for a deaf interpreter, that it is important. We may be seeing deaf interpreters for debates, for political debates coming up. I think that those kinds of situations were breakthroughs as well, because that means the general public who prior to didn't know what they didn't know, now they're seeing the importance of that kind of access. So I think that that's an important step toward our equity. And I think that we're seeing that more in the corporate world. We're seeing that obviously in politics, in the White House. All of these little steps have a huge influence on the kinds of change that can be made with society.
This is Kim. Any other comments on this topic? Yeah, Nikki.
Yes, thank you. Related to what Sherry just said, the policies that have been put in place, the legislation that has been passed, all of these things have been garnering more and more attention that are in support of the deaf community. That all of those things adds to elevating us. Obviously, the fact that we're even involved in the legislative process. I mean, it is media and the legislature. It's a whole different perspective. But I think that it's, everyone who has laid this groundwork and made these changes possible is to thank.
This is Kim. On social media, we are seeing more and more influencers, and we are seeing that deaf people want the hearing community to learn from us. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to learn from us. And one thing that we ask from you is on social media to add captions to your videos. And if you have any questions about how to add captions to your media, please reach out to us and we can advise you on how to do that. Is there anything that you would like the hearing community to partner with the deaf community on? Is there a certain area or topic? This is Becca. Wow, that's a loaded question. This is Kim. Anyone have a comment or an answer ready? Sherry.
Well, yes. I mean, if we're looking into the future, my greatest dream, my wish is that the town where I live would be completely accessible. Everyone in the town would know the language that I use. It means I could go into any store or go to any event and have full access. I know that many people relocate because of access. Why can't access be part of the place that I already live? Why don't we all have that opportunity to stay where we've placed our roots, to stay by our families and our friends, and just provide the access where it is, where the people are right now?
Absolutely. Becca, I need to think on that for a minute. Can we go to Nikki? Yeah, Nikki.
Yeah, absolutely. To be able to understand what is happening around me at all times. Maybe if there's an announcement in a store that the store is closing soon, or an announcement in the airport that my airplane is about to take off, or, whatever that audio communication is, just to have a way to be alerted, whether it's through technology or, I don't know, something else, some kind of one size fits all situations for mass access would be amazing. I think that coming up with ideas, concepts, products, those kinds of things need to involve deaf people in the process. It seems like deaf access is commonly an afterthought, and then it's viewed as something as too expensive, or wouldn't be the best fit for our needs, what a company is willing to offer. So really including deaf people in the building process or in the design process from the beginning, I think is a critical way for us to see the kinds of changes that we want to have in the world, as long as we are involved from the beginning.
Yeah, Becca. This is Becca. Thank you, Sherry and Nikki, for getting my wheels turning. I have a young son. He's 24. And so I now see the world through his eyes. I'm 48. He's 24. We're from different generations and from different decades. I have to agree. Society has to stop thinking from an ableist view. Society needs to start thinking of the universal design concepts. Gallaudet University has deaf spaces, and there was Peter something from NTID who helped Gallaudet to design their deaf spaces, incorporating natural light. It's not just about being compliant with the ADA or with whatever alphabet soup law you want to talk about. What we really need to do is to think about universal access. You have to think about that JFK quote, "Ask not what my country can do for me, but what I can do for my country." Be kind, be equitable. Don't just think of deaf people as an afterthought, like Sherry was saying. Have us involved from the beginning. Put our needs at the top of the list rather than thinking of us afterward. And that will really help us find a place of peace. This is Kim. And as the deaf specialist, I get a lot of calls from deaf community members, and also from hearing community members asking about deaf nurses, deaf medical experts who sign, and there really aren't many. And you have to think back, because those schools, those training programs traditionally didn't provide interpreters. And so it was incumbent upon the person to request those accommodations, which oftentimes weren't given. If access is given, the list of deaf professionals in Arizona would be much longer. We would have more deaf nurses, more deaf attorneys, more driver's education course teachers. We'd have more deaf foster parents, and so on and so forth. But the key is the hearing community providing access to us. Any other comments, Sherry?
Yes, I do want to add to your comment, Kim. I know that you work with a community on a daily basis. As director of this agency and a deaf person myself, it's obviously natural for all of us to internalize the challenges that we see from the deaf community every day, especially having to do with communication access. I would love for those who are viewing who maybe aren't aware of those kinds of challenges, I want them to know that providing the illusion of access, like just hiring an interpreter, is often not enough. If your only goal is to check the boxes and satisfy the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act, you're missing an integral part of providing holistic access. Access is not because you have to, because the law requires it. Access means hiring deaf people to be part of that planning process, hiring deaf people to understand what services actually provide true access rather than the illusion of access. What is it going to take to allow a deaf person to participate in your event or your business in their native language? So I challenge the hearing people who may be watching this today. Let's turn the tables. Let's turn the tables. What if I was your psychologist or your doctor? What if I was providing you a service, but I used sign language and you were the one who needed an interpreter? Because I have the skills to, let's say, counsel you or provide you with medical care, but you're the one who doesn't understand me. Why can't we have the same kind of access that a hearing person would have? Why do we need to fight for that? I think that that is an important thing to look forward to in the future. So my own burning issue.
This is Becca. Same here. This is Kim. Becca, do you mind checking Facebook to see if we have any questions for us? This is Becca. I'll pull that up. This is Kim. Be sure to follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We do have a YouTube channel, and this this video will be posted to our website and YouTube. So be sure to check our website as well. And if you need to contact us, if you have any questions, we would love to hear from you. Becca, any questions from Facebook? This is Becca, none so far. If you have a question and you're watching this event later, feel free to still send us a question. Our office is open. If you'd like to make an appointment to meet with us, you can always call us, email us, you can call us on the video phone, and we hope to see community members soon. Becca? Becca, Kim and I will actually be in the Tucson area. We're going to be out a little bit more, so keep an eye on our e-news and our Facebook and our community view to see what we have going on, because we have Tucson Deaf Awareness Week coming up this Sunday. It'll be at the park, and they're also going to be having their closing ceremonies for the week. Looking forward to it. This is Kim. And I'm available the Monday after that Sunday event. I'll still be in Tucson, and I'll be available to meet with community members if anyone has any questions. Sherry or Nikki, is there anything that you would like to add as we wrap up?
Yes, this is Nikki. In the foreseeable future, I really look forward to engaging with the community. I want to know what your thoughts are, what your ideas are, and understand your world from your perspective. So please, yes, if you have any ideas for me or you want to reach out to me, I am also here for all of you.
And Sherry?
Yes, I think Nikki summarized that beautifully. Our door is always open to the community. If you have suggestions, feedback, anything that we can do better to serve this community, we are here. We are here for you. So please reach out.
Thank you, and we hope to see you soon. Be in touch and enjoy Deaf Awareness Week.